forget. I usually have Post-it notes everywhere reminding me, don't forget to hit record. All right, good evening. Welcome, everybody. I'm Jen Seif, co-president with Cecilia Klein for SEPTA. And we've also got the wonderful Kathleen Donovan here with PRC. Thank you for being here. And our guest presenter, Veronica Jennings, is here as well. So I'm really, really pleased to have tonight's meeting and can't wait to dive into Unified Champion school programs in just a little bit. So I did put in the chat where you can find all of the meeting materials. So there is an agenda there as well as the budget, and then there are slides there too, so you'll be able to find that in addition. Greg, when it gets to the budget, I'll share my screen so that it's available.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, okay, perfect. All right, so if I can have someone motion to approve the November minutes. They are up, they have been up for everyone's review on the webpage. I see LJ, okay. All right, thank you. And if I can, everybody who votes yay to approve, say yay or raise their hand.
Yay.
Yay. Did not add value to
Yay.
the school system commensurate with time.
Any nays? No, okay, the ayes have it. So the minutes for November are approved. The next up underneath that first agenda item is just a brief update. Cecilia and I were able to meet with the Chief of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and Student Support Officer. We shared some ideas with them about potential ways for bullying prevention and promoting and fostering more inclusion. It was a productive meeting, and we are looking forward to continuing the conversation. We do have another meeting scheduled next month, so we'll update everyone more on that. But do look on the horizon for a little bit more family engagement opportunities with the DEI and student support department. I attended the CCPTA meeting, the Council for Arlington, all the PTAs last night, and it was a really great meeting. There was County Board Member Mr. Takis Karantonis there, and he shared a little bit and as far as a deadline. Some of you who were here at last month's meeting may have heard that there were closeout funds for the county, and they ended up being about $750,000. And Mr. Karantonis said that they are looking, there is a February deadline for actual proposals for those programs. And that is primarily for high school sort of age level, middle school, high school, after school, focusing on a lot on mental health and on activities for that sort of time period. We also at the CCPTA meeting heard from a wonderful speaker, Lori Tosharsky, who used to work for Center of the Missing and Exploited Children, and she now works with SCAN of Northern Virginia. And it was just a lot of tips, a lot of helpful information for abuse prevention, and it was all really child-centered. So feel free to reach out to us at president@arlingtonsepta.org if you want some more of that information. And then for fundraising, thank you to all of the general membership for your partnership, for your participation in the fall online auction. We raised about $4,116. So I'm really, really proud of that. It was about 66% of our goal. And that those funds raised do go towards our mini grants program, to funding the mini grants program. If you're not here to pick up your one items, then the next opportunity to pick up your items would be at my house on Monday, December 18th, from 12 to 5. So, and then lastly, we have an upcoming January meeting with Superintendent Dr. Duran and his cabinet, and Cecilia and Wendy Pizer, our advocacy chair, will be attending that. And so more to come on that continued dialogue. Does anybody have any questions before I pass it off?
The meeting that you just mentioned, is that just for the officers or is it for everybody?
It's just for the officers, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Good question, Janet. All right, let's see if I can. Sec. Share screen here. Minute. You just get to let me get to the treasurer's report. I thought I had bookmarked it, but evidently I did not.
Yeah, I'm happy to just talk to it.
Okay. It's
Yeah, I'll just
start talking. Yeah. It's pulling up.
So what you would normally see is is basically a one-page monthly report. We're required to do a monthly report. So it looks like it might be coming up. There it is. And so this report was through November the 30th, and it was a relatively quiet month. We're doing a lot of preparations for the auction. Essentially, we started the month with around $13,000, and we had income of over $700 and expenses of $350, and we ended up the end of the month with a little more than we started. So that's good. Since the end of November, the wheels have started turning on mini grants, and so we've had a number of mini grant purchases and transactions over the last few weeks. In the first part of December, in fact, totaling $6,500. So our budget there and the amount of grant awards is $8,500. So I assume that we still have about $2,000 worth in the pipeline. Is that fair, Jen, or am I just a couple of days off?
Yes, no, you are correct. We awarded or fulfilled about 8,500 of mini grants
Right.
to our special educators.
Okay. So that in a nutshell is where we are. It's a pretty good place to be, a pretty good situation. Of course, we'd like to be able to approve and pay for many more mini grants than we do, but that's the budget for now. So anyway, unless there are any other questions, that's the treasurer's report.
All right, super. Thank you, Greg. All right, next on the agenda is membership. Karen couldn't be with us tonight, but she did fill me in. Our paid dues members are up to 90 now, and that's really fantastic. Our goal is to blow that out of the water. So if you have not renewed your dues, hi, welcome. If you have not renewed, please remember to do so. They don't automatically renew. If you are new and would like to settle that up, I can help you. I've got my computer. We can also point out on the webpage where to do that. So just get in touch with us. And I did not see our advocacy. Wendy, is she here? No. Okay. I was at that meeting as well. So I will fill everybody in on that. There has been a lot of communication from the wonderful Kathleen at PRC. The Office of Special Education has also put out information. This is all regarding the electronic consent forms when you do receive special education documents. And so we are continuing to get the word out to educate people that you don't have to sign the electronic form. You just need to contact your case manager, case carrier, and request a hard copy version of that. She also touched on still ongoing COVID protocols and accommodations. We have had meetings with Daryl Sampson on that and continue to look to improve areas of opportunity there. And then we also had a meeting or talked about facilities, the SIP, which is, I believe, going for vote today at the school board meeting, and just talking about some of the impacts of the capital projects and how they are choosing and deciding on which projects. We also talked at the advocacy meeting about bullying, the incident report, as well as bullying prevention. I'm gonna share in the chat about a link that we really had to dig hard to find. Hopefully that comes up, yeah. And I just want to make everyone aware of it, that if you or your child comes home and talks to you about it, there is a mechanism on the APS website to report it, to create an incident report. Your principal hopefully has the appropriate sort of remediation, but if not, again, if it's not appropriate, there are avenues, and so there's also a link to what APS has publicized. I encourage everyone, since we're from all different schools, to look at your school's home page to see whether or not there's a quick link for the bullying incident report. Because when it happens, you don't want to have to be picking and looking and trying to find it. So if it's not on your school's homepage, I encourage you to have a conversation with the principal or the school counselor director. Okay, we're good.
We're getting some feedback from the school.
Okay. When you are ready, Kristen, I'm gonna pass the baton.
So just a quick question.
Sorry, we're having a follow-up.
The bullying, are there any data available to show how big a problem this is, and is it concentrated at particular schools?
I know that there's data. I haven't seen it.
Okay.
But leadership is 100% aware. A large part of the meeting that Cecilia and I had with the chief DEI and student support officer was related to that. So yeah, it's we're finding from community feedback, it's really bad in middle schools right now.
That's what I would have guessed.
And so time-wise, Veronica,
Yeah.
your presentation can't come sooner. So we're grateful.
Thank you for giving me the space to be able to share information.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, and without further ado, Kristen.
All right. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So Jen has been a very busy bee because not only was she at like 4 different meetings recently, she also represented SEPTA at Gunston Middle School's College Quest, the special education edition on December 2nd. And since you were there, Jen, I was hoping maybe you could just take a minute or two to talk about what that was. It was, you know, like many other schools do, an information night about IEPs and special education, but this had a special twist to sort of get parents thinking and aware of resources about college, which is just around the door, you know, when you're in middle school.
Thank you. Yeah, Principal Carolyn Jackson spearheaded the event. It was a couple of different sessions for the families of students in special at Gunston, and then sprinkled in between the different sessions. One of them was a panel that did have a representative from Virginia Tech, as well as APS's transition crew. Sprinkled in was time and opportunity for families and students to stop by the resources fair. And so there were multiple tables with various different avenues and resources that could come in handy. It really was a bright spot, and I'm hopeful that more and more schools will get on board and be able to do that, or that maybe Dr. Duran can kind of spearhead an overarching thing and allow different groups into any one of those. So depending on which one works. So thank you.
Right. Yeah. Thanks again, Jen, for going. And I do want to pick your brain and get some of the sort of the case study information, who, what, where, when, why, and how written down for parent liaisons in the future. So I'll follow up with you on that. In terms of liaisons, we still have some schools in need of liaisons. The list hasn't changed from our last meeting, but it's Fleet, Glebe, Long Branch, Randolph, Gunston, interestingly, but I know you were speaking with the principal and she's going to think about some names: HB Woodlawn, Arlington Tech, and Little Beginnings. There's a couple schools where the current liaison's child is going to be aging out next year, so they're looking for a partner, and that's Arlington Traditional, Barcroft, and Hoffman Boston. And then finally, for the liaisons, I know I communicate with you, hopefully not too much via the parent liaison listserv. Thank you very much for helping spread the word about the auction. Getting the word out was really key to raising the $4,000 that we did. And the next big event that's coming up in early February, but just want to get it on your radar that we'll need to spread the word on as well, is the Summer Activities Fair. So right after the holiday, I'll be sending out some information on that and how you can help spread the word.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kristen, for all your work. And the last agenda item is our mini grants. And let me just cue something up here so that I can also throw it in the chat. Melissa Wadman, chair extraordinaire for the mini grants program, could not be here. We had over 50 applicants. sort of all, adding up to about $20,000 in grant applications. And of course, we only had a budget of 8,500 only. I don't want to say only because it is significant, but that's what we had budgeted when we proposed the budget at the beginning of the year. So we just had an incredible turnout, and it was awesome to sort of start fulfilling those, Discovery Elementary, couple teachers for the visually impaired were able to receive things, sort of a roving kitchen for the PEP program. So runs the gamut, and it's just going to improve and make a difference in those educators and those students' lives, school lives. So we awarded 22 of the 50 grants. And then there is an Amazon wish list. Thank you to Tom Parisi and Allison Castles. Tom put together the remainder of those mini grants that could not be filled by the budget. And they're all on our SEPTA Amazon wish list, which I threw in the chat. Allison Castles has graciously let us use her house as the address for all of the Amazon shipments so that then we can kind of parse them out. So thank you to that dream team with the mini grants.
So there's a direct link on the SEPTA website?
There's a direct link.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
So I want to do that.
And does anybody else have questions? I am so good on time. It's 8 o'clock. It's when I thought. I know that we all know how imperative it is that we promote and foster inclusion. And I'm really, really excited to have Veronica Jennings, vice principal, I have schools on the brain, vice president now, and right here in all of the Virginia region. So thank you so much for being here. And I know that you have a wealth of information to share with us, so.
Yes, thank you. I'm excited to be able to share more about Special Olympics, and hopefully you can hear me well. I know we have some mics in the room, so I try to speak as loud as I can. My voice tends to be smaller than most, and so I'll try to project as much as I can. I've been working with Special Olympics for 22 years. In the last 8 years, directly working with our schools to start Unified Champion Schools programs in Arlington County, Fairfax County, cities of Falls Church, and then Loudoun County. So this region is huge, and we do have a lot of opportunities to partner with schools to be involved with Special Olympics through unified sports. So I do have a slide deck. Usually when I talk about our Unified Champion School Strategy program is 4-hour training. So I really condensed it, but I'm welcome to have additional follow-up conversations and have additional, be a partner with SEPTA to make sure that Arlington Public Schools are really living the mission and vision of inclusion in your school system. So I'm a visual person, a visual learner, and I love to have the opportunity to connect what the feel and what it looks like for a school to be inclusive. So I wanted to start, Jen, with the video first.
Oh, yeah. Oh, just on that.
No problem. Because really, Unified Champion Schools is an opportunity for a temperature check of inclusion in a school community. So this case study with our umbrella organization, Special Olympics International, goes around and works with schools, they provide support and leadership opportunities. And so We always want to have opportunity to share our message of what inclusion looks like. So this case study is from a school in Anchorage, Alaska, at Robert Service High School. It's about a 7-minute video.
Here at Service High School in Alaska, my whole family has been involved with Special Olympics since I was about 6 or 7 years old when Brendan first became an athlete. And what was the first sport that you did with Special Olympics?
Track and field.
Track and field.
Sorry.
But it's so wonderful to see how much the program has grown since. Our mother is a Service special education teacher.
What makes our students at Service so amazing and so special is the way that they embrace this whole culture of inclusivity. And it really is a community where everybody has a place, everybody belongs.
Good morning and good day, Service High. First Friday Poetry Club meets today at lunch in D33. Come write, share, or just listen. Dance Club meets in G108.
So Service High is a Special Olympics Unified Champion school. As a school, we have just a great climate. I don't really ever have student-student conflict interactions, and I think that's really unique, and I do think that stems from a lot of the culture starting with our special ed program and our Special Olympics program.
Special Olympics Unified Champion schools provide inclusive opportunities for students with and without intellectual and developmental disabilities from elementary school all the way to high school. And then we support the transition from our school program to our community program statewide. So that way there's inclusive opportunities from when they're in school and beyond into the community.
Here at Service, our students who have intellectual disabilities are included in the general education population. You see it in the halls, you see it in our classrooms.
Service High School is an inclusive place. I'm not trying to be biased or anything, but you go over to other schools and I think that it's not exactly the same environment.
Service is just extraordinary in how we are able to just outreach to practically everybody, and everybody feels free to come and join.
Since I'm a king, and Jordan, she wasn't prom queen.
Yeah, she was prom queen, you're prom king. And didn't you guys dance on the dance floor, get groovy with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A school is a microcosm of the real world out there, right? So you want your students to be prepared to be really awesome contributing members of society. And you do that through inclusion, through acceptance of others. So when they graduate, they can continue to do that into their adult life.
What you see with our students in Partners Club are all the wonderful things that make us a unified champion school. All 3 of my kids graduated from Service. I had 1 year with them when they all were here at the same time. I think that Partners Club enriched all of their lives and the experience that they had here.
Partners Club is a social inclusion group for students with and without disabilities. Like when you walk into the special education class and to see 60, 70 people in there and everyone's smiling and hanging out and eat lunch together, I mean, like what a neat thing to see inclusion at its purest form.
Partners Club is located in the middle of the school, it's right in the center, and I'm really proud of Service's Partners Club because it's one of the largest in the state and almost like the nation. It's pretty huge, and I'm really glad that I have that opportunity to be part of it.
The purpose for us at Service High School is to prepare our kids to be college, career, and life ready. The social aspect is a huge component of being able to be in the workforce, to go to college, or just survive outside of the safety net that is school.
I am Niobe, I am 17 years old, and I am a lovable, true artist.
You are.
Niobe is my daughter. She is very, very independent. She knows what she wants in the world, and she's a go-getter.
Niobe is so excited and so happy to be in here. Her artwork is so detailed and she takes the time to put that attention into it. Her shading is beautiful.
Niobe is such a cool personality because she has this way of drawing people to her. And Partners Club has just been a great way for her to get to show that off and for kids to get to know her in this way.
Kids that sign up for this program don't realize that a lot of these kids don't have friends. So when I walk in here and I see these guys go out of their way to include every one of these kids in this program, it makes me so proud of them, and I just want to hug their faces so hard.
It's obvious the benefits that Unified provides to our students. This is a life-changing experience for so many of them.
It's been the most amazing experience. I have met so many new people, so many new stories that I've learned about.
It was a really great time here at Service High School.
Thank you, Scott. I got it. Watching those interactions happen between students with and without intellectual disabilities, sometimes the thing that I wish people would know is to treat people with intellectual disabilities like they would anyone else.
Studies show that when students have a trusted mentor they can talk to, they do better at school and graduation rates increase.
It boils down to students who are just aware of others and are aware of the differences and appreciate that. They're the students who will look around and they notice when someone is alone. That's the beauty of the program, and that's what makes it so amazing.
I hear all the time students who either go to another school then come back or transfer from another school, and they can't put it into words, but they just say something is different here. There's just this acceptance. And we're not perfect. We have social issues, that happens, but I think we're way less than other schools.
Every parent longs for their babies to fit in. Doesn't matter what ability they have or don't have. And at this school, everyone is accepted. Is accepted.
Thank you. So hopefully that could give you a glimpse into what Unified can look like in a school. Like in the video, Special Olympics Alaska has an opportunity for inclusion in schools at every grade level. The same here in Virginia. We have elementary pre-K schools, elementary, middle, and high schools involved in our Unified Champion School program statewide, and also some post-secondary opportunities too, like at George Mason, University of Virginia, and also at James Madison High School through Esso College Unified programs. So it's a whole totality from at least 2 years old. I know on the Zoom, some people, members wanted to know how young you have to be to participate in Special Olympics. To be a part of Special Olympics, you can be at least 2 years old through our Young Athletes program, which we do collaborate with schools to have in the classroom with their peers with and without ID. So then also, and that's from 2 to 7. Then once an athlete turns 8 years old, they can train and compete, but both in their school and then also in our community programs. So we have two, Area 26 is part of our local program that supports Arlington, Fairfax, Falls Church, Alexandria, Reston, Herndon, anything in Fairfax, Arlington nucleus. They offer year-round training opportunities in Olympic-type sports for people, for athletes. So you could be at least 2 years old to get introduced to Special Olympics, to train and compete at least 8. And then if you want to be 100, well, Lord willing, and be still wanting to do Special Olympics, probably not team sports, but you probably will do tennis, bocce, bowling, more social opportunities that we don't have an age cap on people being able to participate in Special Olympics. You just have to be at least 8 to train and compete. And so our mission at its core is to provide year-round opportunities in training and athletic competitions for people with intellectual disabilities. But more importantly, giving them a stage to feel confident, build self-esteem, and show the community that they're valued, that they have something to share with the world, their gift, through who they are and through being involved in athletics, giving them the platform to be even more confident to take the skills, what they learned through sport, and then help them in the community with their jobs, to get hired, to be confident, to be valued people that's contributing to their communities just like everybody else. So Special Olympics does that. And most people think, oh, well, my child isn't athletic. They don't have to be. Our coaches train athletes to be involved and bring out that gift and passion that sports brings in all of us when we compete and train. And it could be small. It might not be always getting a gold medal, but they have personal bests that we celebrate. And through participating in Special Olympics, everybody has the opportunity to excel and be their best self, because everybody has the opportunity to win, which is opposite in traditional sports. Usually in traditional sports, it's only the best that get to be in that top 1% that gets to be on professional or D1 schools. With Special Olympics, everybody has the opportunity to compete at their ability level. So that means we do divisioning so that people are not in same divisions of competition with people that are not their same ability level. So that's the difference with Special Olympics, but we expect our athletes to follow the rules of basketball. So we want them to not double dribble, not travel. And I mean, we have athletes that participate in our program that for us are D1 athletes. So they're the highest ability level. So they play against other Division I athletes. So we have divisions for a competition for swim, individual competitions, we can have as many as 50 to 60 divisions because we want them to all be equitable and competitive. So everybody has the chance to place and feel celebrated in that success of winning. So that's our mission. Next slide. At Special Olympics Virginia, I want to really elevate that our vision is to have an inclusive world for all, created through the power of sport. Our core values are respect, inclusion, and unity, which matches up with many school districts and schools' core values. To me, I feel like for my journey in inclusion and with Special Olympics, I wouldn't have picked up any other career, because you get to see somebody's growth and how the Special Olympics transforms not only their life individually, but their families' lives. I've seen people, I've known them for 20-something years, and when I started with Special Olympics, they were probably like 15 years old, and they didn't speak or wouldn't acknowledge me, wouldn't give me eye contact, and now I cannot go into a place where people are not drawn into me because we have a relationship, and I've seen them grow. I've seen them, go through school, have friends not only with their teams, but outside of their teams with their coaches, with our staff. Special Olympics also empowers our athletes to share their stories of what Special Olympics has meant to them through our global messaging program. They can move people to tears about what Special Olympics mean to them. And so they come with me, used to come with me when I was working with schools directly, to share that message of inclusion with students when they're starting their unified programs. But also they go on Capitol Hill and advocate for support from our government for our inclusive programs, our health initiatives. So I love that what Special Olympics opens doors for people to have a space to be themselves and to represent Special Olympics on the local stage, on the state stage, on the international stage. When we go overseas and have World Games, I mean, I've never represented Special of America to compete. So to get to be a part of a mission that puts people first is truly a blessing. So next slide. So we did the video. I will say that when Jen reached out to me, she was very intentional, which I love because we want to make sure school systems know that Special Olympics is the solution to any like bullying or strategic goals to accomplish inclusion. She said that, which you mentioned in the meeting, that you are going to have a meeting with your superintendent to talk about having a truly inclusive school district. So that's what we're going to focus on here today with the additional presentation, is to show you how Special Olympics and partnerships with school districts and schools provide that opportunity to make sure that all students are valued. And I outlined the left portion of the strategic plan from APS, all of those inclusive, equity, integrity, the goals, core values of APS. Special Olympics has a strategy to meet all of those core values. So if you want to take that with also to put it in your back pocket when you meet with your superintendent, because our goals align. So next slide. So you're probably saying, like, what is Unified Champion Schools? And I want to say Special Olympics uses a lot of acronyms. So I'm not going to continue to say Unified Champion Schools, as now it's going to be shortened a tiny bit to UCS. So it's a strategy, meaning that it's very flexible and adaptable to making a culture of inclusion for school communities based on the culture of that school. So many schools already are doing some type of work of inclusion. They just don't know that it's connected to Special Olympics. So we want to make sure through Unified Champion Schools, we're empowering the next generation to be inclusive, have an inclusive mindset from the beginning so that they're not learning. It's a learned behavior to be a bully. Through education, that's why Department of Education funds Special Olympics nationally, $3 million a year to be able to start Unified Champion Schools programs of schools. Virginia gets $400 this year. In the 16th year of this program, we received $450,000 this school year to start new programs in schools. Because we don't want that to be a barrier to a school or a district to start a program. So we fund their program the first year. Next slide.
There is do you want to handle questions as they come or at the end?
I could do them as they come because it might provide.
There's a question in the chat. I have a feeling.
Okay.
My son is in his swim team, high school Wakefield. He is 9th grade. I don't understand how can be joined for Special Olympics. I asked, and the school tells them that the child will participate in various sports, not only one. But my son wants to participate in only one sport. How can he join only for swim?
So swim, we don't have swim teams in schools. Our local program, Area 26, offers swim. So he can participate in Special Olympics with swim. If you
It's Mary. I'm gonna take down your name and I'll put you in touch.
Yes.
And we'll get you that information because it sounds like, yeah, it's gonna have to be the Area 26.
Yes, because no school can offer every sport for Special Olympics. We offer about 20 sports in the state, and Area 26 probably offers about 15 of those sports. So a school will choose about 1 to 3 sports, depending on how much support they have. And most schools will do team sports for fall and winter, and then track and field in the spring or cornhole, and I'll go into more details further in the presentation. So like you all's business portion of your meeting, Special Olympics Champion Schools reduces bullying and exclusion, promotes health and healthy, active interaction. It combats stereotypes and stigmas, eliminates hurtful language in schools, engage young people in activities that lead to social skill development. With the buzzword social emotional skills, those learning opportunities that can't be taught, they're learning them through being a part of a unified program. And Unified Champion Schools is not just special education. It includes all students. Maybe probably like in the 70s and 80s, Special Olympics was reviewed as a very only for people with special needs. But when we started Unified Sports, that means everybody has the opportunity to be included and benefit through Unified Sports. So UCS engages all students, and it's up to the school to decide what that looks like, depending on the needs of the student. So Unified Champion Schools is made up of 3 pillars. And in the middle, inclusion happens because of all of these 3 pillars happening at a school. And a school would choose to start with different activations depending on what's needed, like in service, they have Partners Club. At the high school level here in APS, every school has Best Buddies. And so that's the inclusive leadership club. So there's no need to start that because that's already happening. Now, what will happen is that because the nature of Best Buddies is more the totality of the program is more embedded on friendship and social inclusion, most schools will work with the student leaders to decide how they're going to incorporate unified sports, because those students already have an invested interest in being in their peers with ID's life. So some of them, because they play on varsity sports, they're not going to be able to do unified sports to play on a team, but they can help with the execution, like helping to run practices if it doesn't conflict with their everyday practice, or help to be more involved in the social inclusion part, or helping to lead the whole school engagement activities, like our Spread the Word Inclusion campaigns or our Be Unified campaigns. Those student leaders can help with that. But then too, you're not going to focus on the student that's the star athlete to be on a unified team, because a lot of students are wanting to be on their high school athletic teams, but they might not have the time or don't make the team, but that doesn't mean they're not athletic. They can be on the team. Because in a lot of times, sometimes the athlete will have a higher skill level for a sport than the partner. So there is a teachable leadership opportunity for them too. So what I will say is that I went to a training last week at the national level, and they said, what is the most important pillar? To me, inclusive youth leadership is, because you cannot build a program without the students' involvement and the opportunity to lead and to cultivate what they want to see in their school. So nothing for us without us. So depending on the grade level, it might have to have more sponsor or teacher involvement because of the grade level, but they still can have a say in what their program wants to look like. And you have, for a student perspective, because going through the pandemic, it was very hard for our schools once they in 2020 when the world stopped, and those students that were really involved for the last 3 years in their school programs graduated. It was hard to continue the momentum when we were remote, and the students could not see what unified looked like. We're just now, last school year, back to about 98% of school activity prior to the pandemic. It's because the students can see it. They're leading it. They're leading the whole school engagement opportunities. They're planning what their inclusion opportunities look like in their school. They're coming to the competitions for their schools in basketball, soccer, and track. So the foundation is inclusive leadership opportunities, and that's for students with and without ID. For unified sports, we have, sports is the foundation of Special Olympics. So we have and we believe that every student should have the opportunity to experience the joy of sports. Sports is the foundation it levels the playing field. It disarms people. Brings out the best in people. I will say a lot of our athletes, students that have been involved years ago when we first started, like in this area, having more schools engaged. This is for many students with ID, this is their first opportunity to sports, to play on a team, to have that team camaraderie, and to be active. Let's be real, like a lot of it's like some students is like, I don't want to run. I'm not a runner. Their peer can get them to run. And we see that through that benefit of being active on a team, they lose weight. They extends their opportunity to get access to be more active in a fun way. So unified sports is really a great opportunity for students to have fun in a judgment-free zone where they can be their true self, all students. So it's a lot of fun. I will say, Special Olympics is a lot of, we do have competitive teams, even at the high school, middle, and elementary school level, but they're all having fun. And I've never walked away from a Special Olympics event, 22 years, without from a volunteer family perspective or student perspective where they're saying that, oh, I didn't like that. I didn't have a good time. Everybody's there to be involved and have a great time and to not only represent Special Olympics, but their school and have that team spirit that they get from being a part of a program that's an extension of themselves. So the next part is also sharing with you what the sports that are the most popular in this region. And this is just a starting point. We're not gonna tell or mandate a school to start with any type of sport, but I will say based on experiences, most schools will start with track and field because it has the opportunity for every ability level to participate. And so our schools they'll train at school at least once a week. Depending on the school, sometimes it's more than that because they do it during advisory time because, the hottest commodity after school is the athletic areas, whether it's the gym or the track. So if they have advisory time and time where it's accessible for all students to practice, they will have time in the gym to practice basketball. So some schools will do it every day and then some will do it like 1 or 2 days a week. But our minimum requirement is once a week, and that's with our community program as well. And our community program happens on the weekends. School day programs happen during the school day or after school, or if it's elementary, sometime because specials, just because of their culture, is before the school day, they'll have carve out time before the school day to have practice. Or they'll collaborate with their PE teacher to have unified PE to practice. So track is usually the one sport, basketball is the second because their peers are playing it, their family members are playing it. So they'll, do a survey internally. It's usually some schools will start with basketball, but track gives you a school longer to prep for because, it's chaos in the beginning of the school year. And then like the next year, because it's so popular, they'll add basketball and then they'll add a third sport, depending on what the culture of their school is. Like Shriver does track, basketball, and then they've also done bocce because it works for their school to have a more sports that fit every student's ability level. And with cornhole, it's becoming popular too.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know off the top of your head, like, does APS have any unified PE classes, like unified PE teachers or?
No. I would love to.
But the unified PE teachers theoretically go through the Special Olympics trainings that have the social emotional components, the curriculum that we were speaking of.
Yes, so typically what will happen is because the makeup of schedules, it's really hard to be able to get all students together to practice. So what will happen is that a school will recognize that, and they will reach out to us for the curriculum. We have a unified PE curriculum, and so the hardest thing, like the first step is to review the curriculum for a school district. And like Loudon, they have it in every school at high school level. The opportunity to add the curriculum to their course of offerings, and then they will work on that the preceding year to get it added. And then when they launched it, they worked with one school as a pilot. And so they worked through how it happened, and they launched it during the pandemic. So, but it's grows, like they started with one school and now it's an opportunity for every high school, but out of all the high schools that have it, that are doing it now, is about 5 or 6 that have it, unified PE. And so that's an opportunity to not only, it's not to just do practices, but it's to get, it includes social, emotional learning, opportunity for students to lead, and then they have metrics that they work on throughout the school year.
I'm just thinking, crunching, like on a number of bullying incidents happen during PE when there is some unstructured work. There are so many. So I was just curious about that.
Yes, I mean, it's a lot of schools that are collaborating with their adapted PE teacher or their PE teacher to have inclusive PE, but it's not like a class that is sanctioned district-wide. Loudon is the only one, and it's only at high school right now. But Chesterfield County, outside of Richmond, just launched it district-wide, so it can be done. So the next pillar is whole school engagement, and forgive me, I left off the slide for inclusive youth leadership, but they work hand in hand. So whole school engagement opportunities are whole school awareness and education activities that are promoted throughout the whole in school that focus on inclusion. So in the video, you might have seen you did see an inclusion banner. And so what that is that officially Best Buddies hosts Inclusion Day, the first Wednesday in March. But we also provide the materials for free for schools to host whole school awareness activation, which means that students lead it. So they get bracelets for free, and then they get students to sign the banner to say that they're going to use people first language, that they're going to be inclusive, that they're not going to use hate language that's, focused on hate or hurting people. And most schools will laminate that and put it in a central location as a reminder to hold students accountable. And so many schools will launch their unified programs with the whole school engagement activity, like Spread the Word Inclusion, or choose to include. In Virginia, we did choose to include for many years, probably about 7 or 8 years. So, and schools have done it every year. So we changed it this year. We have a new campaign called Be Unified, and it's YO Unified. So you can't be unified without you. We're really excited about that coin. So they get a bracelet, the student leaders that lead it. And then every student that signs their name to the pledge gets a sticker that day so they could put it on their person, or many people put it on their hydro flask or water bottle. So it's a reminder. They can also take the pledge virtually. So it's a whole school engagement opportunity, and many schools were embedded in their inclusion week or their disability awareness week. So those are just some options for opportunity for inclusive youth leadership that way. Also, like you saw, Naomi in the video was making morning announcements. That's another way as whole school engagement. When schools will start a program, we leave it up to the students with this teacher sponsor guidance. You know, how do you want to announce it to the school that you are going to have a unified sports team? Kenmore Middle School, when they launched their program, probably 8 years ago, their students made a video. And so their team were like the rock stars in the school building because everybody knew that this was coming to their school and how important it is. And that's also how they recruited students, along with their leadership team, which included their counselor that can identify people that is going to value their students, their peers with ID, because we want them to know that this is something special. It's not an entitlement or right. We're going to be selective at first of who wants to be involved to make sure the care is there. And then you'll watch it blossom and grow because students will see how much fun it is and like how they want to have more opportunities to be in each other's lives through unified sports. And I know it's easy to sound like I'm on a soapbox, but it really does happen. I've seen it time and time again, how this program culturally changes a school. So, and it cannot happen without everybody in that building knowing the importance of their unified program. So it's awesome. And the opportunity for students to realize what they want to be in life through being a part of this program, wanting to be a special education teacher, wanting to go into therapeutic rec, wanting to be a healthcare provider, but now know how to talk to people with ID because they have known them as a person first. We also train people when we are offering health opportunities at our state level games, new doctors, new dentists to treat our athletes with dental care, because that's not taught to a doctor, how to communicate with a person with ID who is nonverbal, has high pain tolerance. So it's a learning opportunity for them to be better physicians and healthcare providers. But this program here starts that even at an earlier age. So the goal is for a whole school district from elementary to high school to be a unified opportunity throughout, not just start. I mean, we've started at different levels at Virginia, but in Fairfax County, we have pyramids where students have been a part of each other's life for their whole totality of education. And that makes a big impact on a person and who they are.
You've mentioned or used intellectual disabilities acronym this evening. Special Olympics also been to students who have a disability but not an intellectual disability.
So our term for intellectual disability is way broader than a school systems. Okay. So we don't, we do in schools, we have students with other disabilities involved in unified sports, whether it be emotional, development delay, vision, or physical disabilities. To be able to be a Special Olympics athlete, train and compete, the participation policy is that you have to have an intellectual disability first. And then if you have another type of disability, you still can participate. But if you don't have an ID, then you can participate as a partner on a team. Okay. Good question. But I mean, our policy is all of our medicals, athletes, when they participate in our program, have to have a medical. And so the doctor will say if this person is approved to be a Special Olympics athlete in our program. So that is the only thing that we take, because we trust that parents know what's best for their child. Next slide. Thank you. So I did mention this earlier because funding is important. It gives the space and equity to start programs where it might be barriers if we didn't have funding. So we provide funding for the first year through equipment, team uniforms, adapt equipment, coaches, shirts, and transportation to an event. Half the cost of a transportation to event was like a feet meet. I don't know if you all have heard of that.
Please share.
We have, actually, I feel like we have,
There's one at Kenmore.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So there's, Kenmore has one in the fall. Pre-pandemic, we have one at we had one in Wakefield. We're hoping to have one this year in Arlington, for all grade levels. But it's basically a culminating event for track and field. And so we have an opportunity for students, schools to come to the feet meet that's hosted at a high school or middle school like Kenmore. And they do track and field events. So running events, field events like softball throws, turbo jav, standing long jump. And then Olympic town events, which are fun events, Olympic games. So like ladder golf and oversized soccer balls, so they kick around jumping jack stations, and everything is age appropriate. And then we also have our young athletes area that has 11 developmental sports stations for them to go through for the 2 to 7-year-olds. So it's usually between 10 and 2. And so we have an Olympic opening ceremony where this whole school will have their ROTC or in chorus, their band, cheerleaders are out there, and then students from the school, when they change classes, come out and watch. And then of course, families are invited to attend from the schools. And it's just a glimpse at what is available to Special Olympics, but like a unified field day. So it's amazing because the whole school takes whole ownership on it, and it's a whole school engagement opportunity. It's showing the community that you're a leader in inclusion. It's opportunity for the students from the high school clubs to help lead at the stations. And then also they help us with narrating the opening ceremonies, deciding what the music is, because any Special Olympics event has great music. So they help with that, and then also recruiting their peers to be a part of being leaders that day. So it's an awesome opportunity to be a part of. So that's huge all over the state. We had 3 last school year, and some Long Branch Elementary and Barrett Elementary went to the Falls Church feet meet. So Arlington schools do participate. They just, depending on age group, they'll go to one in the fall and then one in the spring.
My daughter did the one at Kenmore.
Oh, good.
She's
She
a
loved
driver.
it.
Oh, she's a Shriver? Yeah.
Did she love it?
She likes being active, so.
Yeah, and then too, another thing, like in APS, we have national banner recognition. So that means schools have to apply to be nationally recognized by Special Olympics for their work in inclusion. So Kenmore was the first school in APS to get nationally banner recognized, and it was on ESPN at the time. But now they also all of the high schools are, and Shriver is a national banner recognized school for their work in inclusion over the last few years. So they'll get their banner this spring. So we're excited about that. Yeah. So definitely we want to have opportunity for more schools to do that, but we don't lead with that because we want to make sure that they're true in their efforts to become totally inclusive. And so they're meeting those metrics as they work on their program, like, and implement it every year. And so programs like that happen in Yorktown, Wakefield, Washington, Liberty, Shriver, and Kenmore. That banner recognition just doesn't happen overnight. They've been doing, like, they're doing it, yes, well, for years. So that is the end of my presentation. And Jen did want me to mention too that We do have polar plunges. We were talking about that a little bit. That's how we fundraise and how our school fundraise to help their program continue to be sustainable. So people make pledges to jump in cold bodies of water all over the nation. And in Special Olympics Virginia, we have 5 of them, and 2 of the 5 are in this region. So it's not only an opportunity for our community to be involved, our athletes also plunge. I've plunged 5 times because I felt like if I couldn't ask people to plunge if I had never plunged. But I akin it to childbearing, giving childbirth. You forget how painful it is. Every time you jump, the water is super cold. But we have one coming up in January, January 20th at the Mosaic District. And then February 17th at Prince William County at Leesylvania State Park. So it's an opportunity for the communities to support Special Olympics, but it's also an opportunity for our schools to be involved because when they form a team, they get 50% of the proceeds goes back to their program. And the same thing, SEPTA, if you wanted to use that as a fundraising opportunity, you could in the future. But they're a lot of fun, whether it's cold. Well, one year we call them solar plunges because of it was being warm when we did them, and we did them one couple of years at our summer games. But truly, people like that is a merit of their honor to be able to plunge every year in the depths of the cold, from the Potomac to the Virginia Beach and the Atlantic to above ground pools at the Mosaic District right in front of Target. So yes, I wanted to extend that opportunity.
And can you clarify, like, so after the first year, a lot of the funding is through the grant and through the program, but then the following subsequent year, like things such as the polar bear punch are helpful for fundraising, for raising the funds.
Yes. Yes, so every time, so they get the most funding the first year because the startup is more costs, uniforms and equipment and coaches shirts. But then every time a school adds a new sport, we still support that with the new sport. It's just less money because typically they will use the basketball uniforms for track. So it's just more equipment for track. And then for the feet meets, they get t-shirts. So each sport they add, we give them money, but it's less than what they got initially. So yeah, that's the end of my presentation. Thank you all for the time and space to talk about Special Olympics and Unified Champion Schools. I told Jen, if I need to be part of more conversations or follow-up to bring me with her, I'm happy to talk about that and to share more information with the superintendent and the DEI officer here in Arlington, because I think here we can do that. So we can have a truly unified school district.
And I think it's all part of climate and culture and, society, our expectations, so.
Yeah, and I will say too, because this program this year has just exploded, at the elementary level, we have Young Readers Club. And so we provide resources to the media specialists that have books centered around inclusion, diversity, and equity. And we have handouts, questions that go with each book. And there's almost 60 books in that resource. I will mail you that so that,
Thank you.
But it teaches all about.
And Kathleen,
Yes.
resource section too.
Yes.
So we have a little upstairs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're really excited about that. It launched in Special Olympics, South Carolina, but we've adapted it to our program here in Virginia. And it really has a lot of great books. One of them is Wonder. And they're in the future, not this school year, but next school year, they're also developing more resources at the middle school level for more books. But some of our middle schools do use the resources from that Young Readers Club as well.
I'm gonna open up. Does anybody have questions for Veronica?
Oh, I see somebody asked me for my,
That contact.
okay, yeah, Jen has my contact information. But it's my first initial of my first name, my last name. Yeah, if you could put it in the chat, that'd be great.
But feel free to also enunciate for those of us here.
Yes, so it's vjennings@specialolympics.org.
.va.
No, it's no, it's all one word, specialolympicsva.org.
Okay.
Mhm.
I have your old business card.
I'll give you the new one.
Crossed out Vice President.
Yes.
So happy for you.
Thank you, thank you.
Anyway, with that, Kathleen, do you have any PRC announcement?
The only thing, we just want to let everybody know, and you can find this on our events page. We're gonna, we've finalized our 2023 events, and we're looking forward to launching some new events in 2024. We're gonna kick off with Ann Dolan, who's been a great friend to the Peer Resource Center, and she's gonna come and help us all learn about some executive functioning hacks, which is a big topic. And then the youth mental health first aid training, our colleagues, that's not a PRC event, but our student services colleagues have been offering that. Really, really, really important. Love to have almost every adult who's working with students be mental health first aid trained to support our youth. And then if you have young children in pre-K, we're going to be hosting in collaboration with Karen Agate, who's our child find coordinator, session on the transition from pre-K to elementary. So that's coming up. That's what we've got on deck in January, and really also trying to encourage use of our lending library. We've realized that we can send books through school mail and have them come back, that way. So keep an eye for more library info coming up in January. But we are, we're definitely looking forward to a little break, but we can't wait to see everybody in 2024. We wish everybody a very joyful holiday and joyful winter break. Thank you.
And hope you and all your families have a fantastic last sort of holiday stretch as we move into the new year. And please reach out to us at SEPTA if we help you in any way. And just thank you. We are grateful to have had you here and presenting. So
thank you.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna stop recording. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you.